Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Class, Alex is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. This is USA Prepares. And with us today is another USA Prepares instructor, Tracy Caesar. And Tracy Caesar is a nurse. And she's here to tell us her story, whatever she would like to share with us about what has happened to her, what is happening to her, what she plans to do. And this is an eye-opener because this may happen to you. Welcome, Tracy Caesar.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hi. Hi, Doc. Well,
good morning, Tracy.
Do you want me to just recap what I said on Friday shortly, or brief synopsis?
Well, sure. Okay. And you don't have to say anything. You can say whatever you do or don't want to say.
Okay.
It's about
one thing I wanted to touch on Friday. Since I had 2 rounds of chemotherapy, it causes something they call in the medical community chemo brain. So the words I know that I'm supposed to use don't come out in that form. The word that, like, for instance, I will call the refrigerator the microwave, or in my family adjust to me because they know what I'm talking about. So I'll say, put the ice cream in the microwave, and they go, okay, Mom, you know. So on Friday when I got ketoacidosis, when I meant to say hypokalemia and I said ketoacidosis, it's not because I'm not educated. It's because words come out in the wrong directions. They get really confused, which I hope gets better with time. Anyway, I wanted to clarify that with all of the people that are listening to your show. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on December 1st of last year, and immediately was going to a surgeon to do a double mastectomy. In the meantime, they sent me to a oncologist, and I went to one that's nearby where I live just because it would be more convenient for me. And then the surgery was postponed because I was supposed to have 6 rounds of chemotherapy first to shrink my tumor away from my pectoral muscle to make it easier for the surgeon, was the plan. Long story short, I had 2 rounds of chemotherapy. On a Saturday morning, I emailed Dr. Shealy, and I said, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. I think they're trying to kill me. Please call me. I was just in one of my... I said I'm not taking one more drop of any of that medicine, none of it. I'm not listening to none of those people. I'm seeing Dr. Shealy, and if I can't see him right away, well, then everything's on hold because I'm not doing one more thing. And so Doc said, okay, Tracy, yeah, I understand. Come in on Monday morning, and I'll see you, Monday at noon. And I saw him. He said, I only trust one doctor that's an oncologist, and he really does listen to you. He listens to how you feel and so forth. Well, long story short, I didn't need chemotherapy. At all. The type of breast cancer that I have is estrogen and progesterone positive breast cancer, and surgery would have been the very first thing, either a lumpectomy, mastectomy. I chose to do the double mastectomy because that just takes away any further problems down the road of getting it all done at one time. So, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. I went to see that doctor, and no chemotherapy, scheduled me right away for go ahead and get the surgery done. Well, I had the surgery, and in the meantime, that was a 3-month span from my biopsy to my surgery that my tumor doubled, and I had 2 rounds of chemotherapy. I'm on estrogen blockers right now because that's what feeds the type of cancer that I have, which I'm having a couple of other things done to prevent me from having to take the estrogen blockers also, because I just don't care for anything to do with a pharmaceutical, period. Dr. Shealy, as a matter of fact, I have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind me to ask you right quick. I was going to be having to get Zometa or Reclast IV every 3 months, which is a bone, quote-unquote, bone strengthening, prevents osteoporosis, things that happen when you block your estrogen. And I told my doctor, I said, no, I'm not going to take that. And in the meantime, I've had a DEXA scan, which determines the density of your bone if you have any problems. I am barely into osteopenia right now, barely, just barely over where they could even call it that. So my family practice doctor, she said, you don't have to take that right now. We'll do another scan in 2 years. And I said, well, I'm on supplements. I'm on K2, D3, boron, magnesium. But, Doc, what I wanted to ask you was, on the K2, what dosage should I be on?
15 milligrams.
15 milligrams daily?
Yes.
And on D3, can I take that twice a week?
Well, 50,000 units I would take only once a week.
Once a week, okay. All right. And so, anyway, I had a PET scan. My PET scan came back clean. I have no more cancer, so that they can detect. Now, there's little, what they call floaters or microscope, like the highest magnifying microscope can't detect it. So a PET scan's not the ultimate determination. I believe I don't have cancer. I believe that my vitamin C infusions with Dr. Shealy, I saw a healer. I've, taken supplements. I feel fantastic. My energy is coming back. So I believe in my mind, which I think a lot of it has to do with healing, is your mind over matter. In other words, you can be scared right out of your socks, for real. They will scare the socks right off you. That's what happened to me, and that's why I did the 2 rounds of chemotherapy, because my daughter was in the room, and she's our baby, and it scared her, and she believes, like most people do, that's what we should do. I would never do that again, ever. I lost my hair. I gained 50 pounds. My veins are ruined. Other side effects that I don't even know. It's one of the chemotherapy drugs I got that is, it's the A, and it's not coming to my mind, but they call it the red devil when they hang it up to give it to you. And long-term side effects from that are the possibility of getting leukemia when you're older, the possibility of having heart problems that I've never had before. So, that's the question I have in everything is, okay, well, maybe it will help your symptoms now. It helps your symptoms. It doesn't treat the disease. What are the long-term ramifications for taking this? It's something that we don't ask. And the answer is they don't know either, by the way. So that's where I am right now, and I'm just believing it. I'll have some PET scans along the way just to make sure I'm okay. But adriamycin, Doc came in and told me the A medicine. He helps me remember things that I can't remember. So anyway, that's my story very shortly. I don't know if y'all have any questions if I missed something.
Well, I would say the most important thing from my point of view is protecting your immune system optimally, and you're doing that now.
Right.
And then there are some other things that could be good for the brain.
Okay, I'm writing.
Dr. Shealy, are you there?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I can't hear him.
We might have lost Dr. Shealy. And if we did, I'm sure he'll call in. So, Tracy, you were diagnosed with breast cancer, and you, I guess, immediately went into panic mode. Is that right?
Yeah. It's really strange. How I could describe it best to you is that you have a still small voice that talks to you. I don't know if everyone else has that, but you should.
Sure.
And the little still small voice told me that's not the route I wanted to go. My surgeon's excellent, by the way. He's an excellent provider out of Springfield. And he wanted to schedule me for surgery. The soonest I could get in was the end of January, which then got postponed until my surgery wasn't until April the 23rd. And like I said, in that time, my tumor doubled. Well, panic, yeah. You have so many things coming in at the same time. You have family members that are scared, that believe that the medical industry, knows what's best for you, which in acute situations, heart attacks, strokes, so broken legs, you fell from a tree, so on, that's where you need to go, okay? But in chronic situations, you really, really should consider pausing because, quite frankly, had I paused a month, thought about it, did some more research, that 1 month wasn't going to hurt me. You understand what I'm saying? 1 more month of waiting wasn't going to change my outcome at all. So that was a really big mistake I made. Which
I imagine that you were thinking about all the things that you need to do, want to do, and you're looking at this cancer as limiting those things that you feel that you need to get done. And I can imagine that it was quite terrifying.
You think about, I have 3 children, 3 grown older children, 3 children still around here, and grandchildren, and, you think about all of those things, they flash like lightning through your brain.
Yeah. Dr. Shealy has reconnected with us, and we'll be back with Dr. Shealy's thoughts and opinions and more of Tracy Caesar discussing this terrifying experience, being diagnosed with cancer, facing surgery, and having the surgery. I'm Vincent Finelli. We'll be right back. Class, we're talking with Dr. Norman Shealy, medical doctor, and Tracy Caesar, a nurse. Both are USA Preparedness instructors, and Tracy is sharing her story. Dr. Shealy, do you have any comments about what Tracy has said so far?
Well, of course, there is no circumstance personally under which I would allow chemotherapy to myself or anything in the world. I consider them poisonous. I don't mind dying. I just don't want to be poisoned to death. And to me, Tracy's attitude, of course, is fantastic. And that is a major contributor. But the intravenous vitamin C and her attitude and in continuing supplements are the answer in virtually all cases of cancer, in my opinion.
Tracy, I've had Myers cocktails from Dr. Shealy in his clinic, and I've talked about the unbelievable immediate effects of the Myers cocktail. Would you be willing to share your experience of what you think of the Myers cocktail? And then we'll ask Dr. Shealy to explain what a Myers cocktail is to our class, should they be new to our classroom.
Oh, I love Myers cocktails. I mean, I will have them for the rest of my life, period. At least a couple times a month. If they don't release you, say you're cancer-free, until, I don't even know what their guidelines are, but it's profound, but they can't. Anyway, I'll have them for the rest of my life because they make me feel good. I know that our food is depleted in minerals and nutrients. We can't get enough of what our bodies need to fight any kind of diseases. Our immune systems have been compromised by vaccines that our parents didn't know they shouldn't give us. And then any number of other things. I mean, our food is all genetically modified to the largest degree. I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures of them spraying the fields with hazmat suits on the food that's going to go on our table, but, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this is not going to be good, you know? But I have more energy from the Myers cocktails. The atmosphere in Dr. Shealy's office is just pleasant and relaxing, and I just feel better. I don't know what else to say. I know it works for me, and I know it works for anyone that gets them.
And
so.
Absolutely,
Well,
and I've had a number of them. Yes, Dr. Shealy, please tell us what they are.
Well, I began using them in the late 70s. My very first case was a man who had bladder cancer the size of an orange. Within 2 weeks, his cancer was gone, and his urologist was angry with him and me. Now, since that time, I've used hundreds and hundreds of them. I use them for an acute flu, for acute viral infections, for people who are just totally fatigued. But the number one benefit is cancer. It is certainly at the top of my list of what I would recommend and use to treat cancer. Now, it may take 20 of them with many people, but what's 20 of those compared to one dose of chemotherapy?
There's no comparison.
Tracy, when I had my first Myers cocktail, which is an IV infusion of 50 milliliters, and Dr. Shealy can tell you what's in it, I called my son, and this was toward the end of the day, and I said, I just received a Myers cocktail. I'm 20 years younger. Get ready, because we got a lot of work to do as soon as I get home. And that was like something.
Well, let's put it like this on Saturday.
And I was not.
Saturday was the first day I was able to. I was out working on the farm for 6 hours straight, fixing fencing, washing out my waters. There's no way I would have been able to do that prior to Myers cocktails. And I didn't know I had cancer, you know. I just knew that I had no energy. I thought I was getting older. I told Jim, if 45 feels like this, I don't want to know what 65 feels like. He cracked up laughing. He agreed, you don't want to know. But anyway, I can do way more than I could previously.
And so when I called my son and told him I'm 20 years younger, get ready, that jives with what you were saying, right? And what you experienced. That's not an exaggeration, is it?
Not an exaggeration.
All right. We'll be back, and Dr. Shealy will tell us what a Myers cocktail is. Class, if you'd like to get in touch with Dr. Norman Shealy, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. His clinic is in Springfield, Missouri, and so we're in Central Time. You can call his clinic. Dr. Shealy, what number would you like our class to call should they want to be in contact with you?
417-351-5221.
417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. Class, this is not a commercial. This is an endorsement. I've had the Myers cocktails. I was as sick as could be, and it jump-started my immune system. I really believe that, and it really, really helped me. So, and I think Tracy Caesar is saying exactly the same thing. And so if you're interested, 417-351-5221, and call and you can discuss this. Dr. Shealy, what actually is a Myers cocktail? And can you tell us what it is and how it's delivered?
Right. Well, it's an intravenous injection, and it contains any amount of vitamin C, starting with 10 grams, which is low. But in most people, if they have a serious problem, I'm going to start with 50 grams of vitamin C. and depending upon their weight, go up to as much as 100 grams. Now, in addition, to balance all of that C, you need 100 milligrams of B complex, another 100 milligrams of B6, 250 milligrams of dexpanthenol. All of these are B vitamins. Methylfolic acid, methyl B12, calcium, magnesium, and, of course, then the IV fluid, which could be any of the 5% dextrose in water or normal saline, etc.
Okay. And Dr. Shealy, how long do you like to typically have this IV drip last?
Well, it's a minimum of 2 hours, and it can take 3 and rarely 4. It needs to go in slowly because it's a very, very concentrated solution, but it's safe. Occasionally it stings a little bit in the where it's going in, so you could slow it down or speed it up according to that. But other than that, I've never had any kind of significant, problem giving it.
Okay. So it's a small IV needle, and the way I would describe it is I would be relaxing in your clinic in a lazy boy type recliner, just relaxing in that room with scalar energy and the pulsed electromagnetic frequency device, and just in a deep relaxed state, except for one thing. You have to urinate like every 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I think.
It is a diuretic. You're putting in, most of the time you're putting in 500 cc's or milliliters of the IV fluid, but not only that amount of fluid, but the vitamin C itself is a diuretic. It pulls water out with it.
And it's high speed. Tracy, am I exaggerating?
No. And you get thirsty. It makes you very thirsty. But they have lots of water.
Thirsty,
yes,
and you have to urinate a lot.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I think is awesome because anything you can flush out of your body, we're made like that,
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple of things, I wanted to add, and Dr. Shealy would probably agree, but I believe that my specific cancer was caused from stress, to be honest with you. I had some life events that happened from starting in 2013, and then so over the last 5 years that were really, really heavy things to deal with, and I didn't manage that correctly. So, of course, that brings your immune system down, which then opens you up to any number of different types of diseases, autoimmune diseases, so forth. And so when I finally decided I'm not doing any of this other stuff, whatever Dr. Shealy tells me, that's what I'm believing. And that's what I'm going to do because I just don't trust people, especially after my experience. I had 2 rounds of chemotherapy that I did not need. They never give the Red Devil to my type of cancer, so I don't even know why I got it. It's not even indicated for my type of cancer.
Well, unfortunately, the average oncologist reminds me of the friendly or unfriendly undertaker.
Oh, yes. Yes, and I ordered. What happened when I called Dr. Shealy, which I knew better to start with, which should have been my very first call, I ordered a truthaboutcancer.org. The man spent tons and tons of money going all over the world talking to DOs, MDs, naturopaths, chiropractors, all different modalities, nutritionists, all over the world getting information on what they do to treat cancer. Well, I made it 30 minutes into an 18-hour DVD program, and after 30 minutes, I was losing my temper. That's when I emailed Doc Shealy, said, they're going to kill me. I need to talk to you right away. I didn't even watch the other 17 and a half hours because I was like, this scares me nearly half to death, There's just stuff out there. There are people out there. Whether or not you can travel to Springfield, Missouri, which is what I'd recommend, if you can't do that, you have people in your community that know what they're talking about. You're going to change your lifestyle, or change what you eat, make better choices. I mean, I rarely eat potato chips, rarely ever have a soda pop, rarely have any processed foods at all. If I can avoid them, I avoid them. But at the same time, the long-term side effects, I'm saying, Doc, would you agree that there's people out there that have been cured by or are cancer-free from chemotherapy and radiation? Probably.
Well, there are a few.
But the thing is, what's the long-term ramifications?
Well,
right?
It is another cancer because it kills your immune system and all kinds of degenerative diseases. Some studies say if you took the average of all people treated with chemotherapy, the extension of life is 4 months after 6 months of torture.
Right. Yeah, and they recommended, that I have more lymph nodes removed, the axillary dissection and radiation, because it came up in my lymph nodes. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I also said, no, I'm not taking the IV fluids from my bones every 6 months or 3 months, because there are alternative things that you can do with a provider that is open to understanding and takes the time to learn about it, which I appreciate Dr. Shealy, because he's a certified neurosurgeon that understands that medicine is spooky at best. It's spooky.
Right. Well, there are numerous alternatives. There is some evidence that the Gershon diet is effective, but my God, it's a full-time, 24-hour job just to prepare your food.
Doc, I ordered that whole set from Gershon, and I opened it up and I went, oh my gosh. And I said, do I want to live? This is just me. This is just only a Tracy thing, because I know I'm not disciplined enough. That's the fact, to follow exactly what it says. I believe it works. I believe it's excellent. There's proof that it works if you're a very disciplined person. And you'd probably have to grow your own food, period.
Right.
I am going to get a grow tower in my house, where you can grow lettuce and different root vegetables. They have the lighting and the automatic watering system just to grow some of my own vegetables during the winter months, that I know are not contaminated. And then raw fruits and vegetables are the best way, I believe, to get whatever nutrients you can from those vegetables. Cooking them, cooks half at best the nutrients out of them. So I juice. I have carrots, celery, and broccoli. That's going to be my main juicing deal. And that's from talking to Dr. Heyer, that he recommends that. So I just make a great big batch, because then I don't have to clean it every single day. The juicers every single day. So if you make a big batch, store it in mason jars and with lids in the refrigerator, you have it for a whole week. You can do it once a week.
By the way, the thing that I grow best in the winter in my little greenhouse is kale.
Kale.
I love kale, and it of all that family, the Brassica family, my favorite is kale. And so,
if I could grow some of that in my grow tower also and put it in, juice it, or make chips, or
But, if I have half a dozen kale plants, I can get, probably at least 6 meals a week out of that. And I do depend upon that all winter.
Tracy, have you considered a small greenhouse? I was at the Chinese factory tool outlet, also known as Harbor Freight Tools, and they sell a greenhouse for about $499, $500, and a larger one for maybe $700. Have you considered that? Because the grow towers are not that cheap either.
Right. And actually, I'm considering all options right now. I'm just starting to do that. And ironically, I got a heater, a greenhouse heater at an auction for next to nothing. So that's probably the route I need to go.
Okay. We'll be back with Tracy Caesar and Dr. Norm Shealy in just a few minutes. And we've been talking about Tracy Caesar's cancer and what she has done and what she's experienced. And we'll be right back. Tracy Caesar, knowing what you know now, going through this awful, awful situation, do you have any thoughts that maybe you would have changed something, maybe you would have done something differently, knowing what you've learned? Have you had any of those thoughts?
Yeah, the main thing I would do is pause, not let fear dictate what choices you're going to make in life. And I already know this, but when you send out negative thoughts into the ethers, negative is coming back to you. So when you send out positive thinking, and I do every night I go to sleep with meditation music playing in my room. I have one of Dr. Shealy's scalars, so I sleep in it 8 hours a day. I think that your attitude, Dr. Shealy probably agrees with me, but your attitude and the way you look at things, I just had a relative call me a few days ago and was really depressed and having panic attacks and speaking things into existence that don't exist. So, and I'm like Dr. Shealy, where death doesn't scare me. Death's not the part that I'm afraid of, and I know better than the choices that I've made to even go the route that I did. Personally, I would, if I did it over again, I would have had the surgery right away. Right, just exactly what my surgeon said, exactly what Dr. Shealy said, and then started the Myers cocktails with the vitamin C high doses. I think I get 100 milligrams. I'm not positive, Doc, but I think
100 grams, yeah.
100 grams, yeah. Thank you for helping me because, like I said, my brain sometimes goes in the wrong chronological order.
My favorite quote is, thinking sets in force spiritual forces to bring about change.
And that's 100% fact. What you believe to exist, what you speak out your mouth, literally, be it negative or positive, you have a choice, is exactly what's coming back to you. I've experienced it many, many times in my 46 years. I choose to think positive. I choose to believe I don't have cancer. I choose to believe it's not going to define me. It's not going to make me decide how the rest of my life is going to go. If I'm having a bad moment, because I have them, I find things. I say, okay, the sky is blue, the birds are singing, the grass is green, the flowers are growing. I have great friends. I have great providers now. I've set myself up with people that are all on the same page with me. If they're not on the same page with me, they're going out the door, period. You need to have people that listen to what you're saying. They don't have to understand it, but if they're not willing to do some research on it, talk to your other providers, i.e., for me, if you will call Dr. Shealy, he will tell you what we're planning to do, and we can all be on the same page. If you're not willing to do that, you're no longer my doctor. It's that simple. Now, I know everyone can't be that way, but that's the way Tracy is going to be because I've had 2 rounds of 3 different poisons put in my body out of fear, pure fear, that took control over my husband, my daughter, my best friend, which then was able to get its grips on me in that moment. And that's not going to happen again because I have control of that. There you go.
Tracy, you and I have been friends for a long time. You've been to the expos. You've been to the meetups. You've been on the air with me. Why did you call me a few weeks ago to tell me this? What prompted that? What?
Well, you know, Vinny, I've been on your show a few times about mostly vaccines and what I didn't know about them and what I've learned about them in the medical community. Doc and I both have, how harmful they are. And I just want people to know that you need to pause and think about your treatments prior to going and just going with the plan.
As our Australian friends say, good on you, mate.
Yes, and I'll talk to you gentlemen soon. I have to get on down the road to Springfield.
Have a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy, thank you so much for being with us and sharing this information, because very few would do that. Dr. Shealy and I will be right back, right after these top-of-the-hour news and commercial announcements, and we're going to be talking more about medicine. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares with Dr. Norm Shealy. If you'd like to call us, 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. And if you'd like to listen on your phone, you can listen to the radio on your phone, 605-477-3249. 605-477-3249. Dr. Shealy, I've been doing a series of vignettes about what I see as wrong with America. And I noticed that my patience has become thinner. My fuse has become shorter. And I'm wondering, after I tell you this story, if you think that maybe there's an injection or some kind of a supplement that I should take to maybe lengthen or thicken my patience, because it is so thin now, and maybe lengthen my fuse because it's become so short. And I've seen, in my travels, I see a lack of consideration, a lack of mindfulness, respectfulness, attentiveness, a lack of caring, a lack of being nice, tactful, gracious, polite, kindly, neighborly, civil, and sensitive. And let me give you an example. So over the weekend, I attended a Greed Festival, Greed. Sometimes they're referred to as a farm auction. And that's where a farmer has just given up, can't continue, and sells the farm. And when the farmer does that, what happens is the farmer sells his equipment, a lot of belongings, tools, everything that was used in the farm. So now what we're saying is that family farm is going out of business right then and there in front of your eyes. And, you know, they've got the auctioneer, they've got all the tables and the trailers all filled with boxes of things, and the tractors are for sale, the trucks are for sale, the implements are for sale, the rakes, everything. It's all for sale. And so as this auction was going on, I had visited there was a friend of mine who was selling his farm, and I went over there to say hi to him. I was a customer of his. We bought hay from him, and he's a really great guy. He's an engineer. He's just a wonderful man. And I just wanted to say my goodbyes, because I thought this was going to be probably one of the last times I saw him. And he was giving up because he said he had fibromyalgia. He just couldn't do it anymore. Probably 10 years older than I. And so he said, why don't you look around, you know, if you want to buy anything, you know, come back to the auction. Well, he had two things that I was interested in. And I was really not, and I figured I would be buying them because no one else would want them. And they were boxes of books. That's it, boxes of books. And it turned out that no one was interested in these. But here's what I saw. So there were about 200 people gathered in this barn in the rain. It was pouring out. It was muddy. And it was, you know, shoulder to shoulder packed. And there were a bunch of people in outfits that were blue and black, and they were different from everybody else. They were the Amish. And I saw something that I'd never seen before. And some people may think I'm picking on the Amish. I'm not. But I'm going to tell you what I saw. So there was a young man, I think he was about 17 years old, and he was looking through these boxes or these crates of things that were for sale, tools and so forth. And I saw that he wasn't as gentle as I thought would be appropriate, looking through things, picking something up and then dropping it back in the box. Maybe that's how he does it with his things, but I'm certainly more gentle with mine. And that bothered me, but I didn't say anything. And then during the process of the auction, I was very close to the auctioneer because I wanted to buy these items. And there was an Amish man next to me. How do I know? Because they're all wearing the same uniforms. Blue shirts with black slacks or trousers. And the women were wearing the same color blue and the same color black. And so the Amish man next to me and I were, just paying attention. And then from behind us, there was a younger Amish guy, a young man, maybe 17 years old. And he pushed his way between me and this Amish man I was standing next to. And he kind of pushed his way in, pushed me out of the way with his body, not shoved me, just kind of pushed his way and wiggled his way in. And then with his hat, this great big brimmed tan-colored hat, I couldn't see because he blocked my view as he was talking to his Amish buddy. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "Hey, you're blocking my view with your hat." I was kind of frosted. So everybody's looking at me like, what's my problem? Then they realized that I wasn't going to take this nonsense from this guy. Okay? And that's just one example of my reaction and my short fuse. And that was based on two things. One, me seeing his friends, gang, family, whatever you want to call it, clan, tribe, whatever the appropriate word might be, not as kind, as gentle, as polite as I thought he should be as a young man. Maybe that's the way he was taught. Maybe that's the way he missed being taught. I don't know. But it didn't seem right to me. And when he cut me off and he blocked my view, I let him have it right then and there, verbally. And what he said was, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I said, "Okay." But, I wasn't as nice as I might have been 10 years ago, Dr. Shealy. And I don't know if it's an accumulation effect of seeing people who are rude, insensitive, the list goes on, or whether I have some disease.
Well, Ben, I believe that this chaos that the world is in was particularly set in force on 9/11. When this all started and Afghanistan was invaded, I said he has just started a 100-year war. And I believe that ever since 9/11, the entire country and world has been increasingly in chaos. Now, for many, many decades, I have practiced and trained myself to detach from things I cannot change. Now, you could change what happened in your situation, and fortunately, he was nice enough to do something about it, apparently. You take off his hat?
No, he just backed up and got out of my way.
Well, same thing. And
yeah, right,
so,
right.
My number one philosophy is if there's something that you don't like, you have a right to express it. If you can change it, you have a right to try to change it. But if you can't change it, like 99% of the crap that's going on in the world, we cannot change, then it is critically important to just say, who the hell cares, and detach. Now, that is why, since 1972, I have practiced autogenic training. My body and mind are trained to let go of things I cannot change. Now, I don't say I never get upset. I didn't say that. What I said is, once I recognize I cannot change something that's going on, no matter how much energy I want to put into it, okay, I'm done. And I don't know what else to do because I'm not willing to waste my energy and my life on fighting nonsense. I mean, look. The number one danger, risk of this world is nuclear energy. I have thought since the mid-40s that the most stupid thing humanity's ever done is create nuclear energy. But I couldn't change it if I spent my entire life doing nothing but that. And therefore, I detach.
I understand and I agree. You know, I saw something else that I got confirmation of. Now, there are only a couple hundred people at this auction. And to set the stage for this story, back in the 1960s and the 70s, I loved reading and looked very forward to receiving that monthly magazine called Popular Mechanics. I loved it. I couldn't wait for it to arrive in the mail, and I would read it cover to cover, over and over and over. And so at this auction, they had for sale a stack, actually a box, overflowing box of 33 annual volumes of Popular Mechanics. So what these were is all the stories, the articles, without the advertisements, bound in a hardcover, annual volume, year by year by year, 33 of them. And I thought, I don't think anybody's going to be interested in that. Well, I left a phone bid for them, and I couldn't believe it. I was right. I believe the auction started at $10 for this whole pile of books, and I was the only guy. Out of everybody there, I was the only guy interested in buying them. And so I bought 33 volumes of hardcover books for $10.
Wow.
Then, and I can't wait to read them. Then, and they were, I'd say, in 90% condition. They're pretty darn good. Then there was another box of books I was interested in. They were classic auto mechanics books that are still, the technology is still used today. And these are thick books that are thickness of a Bible, but bigger than 8.5 by 11. Thick books, and then there were some electricity books like linemen's manuals, like the guys who string power lines, from pole to pole, what they need to know. And that's also like a Bible. A few of them in there. So I got another box of books, not for $10, but for $7.50. Nobody wanted them either. So what I've learned is people don't want to read. I couldn't believe it. But I did verify what my initial thought was, that people are now too lazy to read. I couldn't believe it. Let's talk a little bit more about our attitudes when we come back, and I've got some medical questions as well. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us. That's Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, medical doctor, normshealy.com, and if you'd like to get his tips, medical tips, in your email box, normshealy.com, normshealy.com, and you can sign up, and no salesman will call. You'll get the tips, and they're short reads, and they will encourage you to change your life in the positive way. Dr. Shealy, any comments about what I said about reading? Are you seeing that as well?
Well, yes. Unfortunately, dumb phones have taken over, and people spend all of their time on dumb phones and television. Personally, I haven't turned on a television set in a year, and probably may never turn on one again. I love reading. I'm a bookaholic. And so instead of watching the boob tube in the evening, if I have time that I don't have to, doing work, then I read. I read about one book every week.
Do you believe that by reading rather than watching, meaning watching television, that your mind absorbs the information in a deeper way that enables you to think and be more innovative?
Absolutely. You have to create your own images. And when you don't do that, you're actually bypassing your brain and wasting all your intellect, in my opinion. So watching can be okay for occasional, I think, just libation, so to speak. But reading is infinitely more important than watching.
Mm-hmm. And I have a friend who ran a training school, high school, in Virginia. And he said the most interesting thing, this was probably, almost 20 years ago he said this. He said, Vinny, they say that this young crop of students is the best and brightest ever. It's just hard to prove it.
Well, I honestly believe that the dumb phone dumbs people down in many, many ways, not just because of the fact that they aren't doing anything useful, but also because they're not using their brain adequately and the damage of the electromagnetic field. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play does go on.
Yeah, and there's so many people who absolutely, positively will not put down that phone, even though they know that it could be the cause of their death. The next major disease, cancer, whatever it may be. It's too convenient. But I think it's more than that. I think they're actually addicted to their phones.
You've got it. They are indeed addicted, and it's in turning off certain aspects of intellectual function. It dumbs them down and addicts them. It's a horrible waste of brain.
I was in Springfield a few days ago, and our son wanted to stop at a place called the Restore, Restore. And it's a store that is part of Habitat for Humanity. And what businesses and individuals do is they donate the things that they don't need, like building material type things, to the Restore. And then the Restore has some volunteers and some salaried people that man the stations and sell these things to you. And the money goes into the expansion of the Restore. So instead of taking your extra shingles to the dump, they end up at the Restore, and nails and screws and paint and, paint that's the wrong color that people have bought from the store that they say, no, it's not, it's mixed wrong. That kind of stuff ends up at the Restore. Well, they have two buildings in Springfield, and my wife and our son and I went into the first building, and I was a little slower getting out of the first building than they were, so they went across the parking lot to the second building. And I caught up with them a couple minutes later, and I walked in the door, and they smiled at me, and they said, there's something that you're going to want to buy here. And I said, what's that? And they said, well, you'll find it. So I just looked across the store, and there it was. And I'll tell you what it was. And this is a medical device. And when we come back, I'll tell you what it was and why I think it was for sale. And I believe that there's two reasons why it was for sale. Quite interesting, class, and I'd love to hear Dr. Shealy's opinion as soon as I tell you what it was. We'll be right back. So, class, there's a medical reason why I'm explaining this adventure at the Restore. So, I went into the second building, and my wife and son were there, and they're kind of smiling, and they said, there's something you're going to want to buy here. And I said, what is it? And they said, well, you'll find it. And there's probably hundreds of thousands of different items in this store. I mean, it's a lot of stuff in this store. Electrical, appliances, everything you can possibly think of. Furniture, decorations, painting supplies. I mean, it goes on, tools, goes on and on and on. Well, I saw it immediately. I looked across the store, and within, 20 seconds at the most, I saw it. I walked over to it, and it was a health-o-meter balance scale, the kind that you'd see in a doctor's office in the 1960s, 70s, maybe even the 80s. Dr. Shealy, do you have one of those kinds of scales in your practice, one of those health-o-meter scales where you stand on it, and it has to balance and you slide the weights?
I don't have one of those. I have one at home, but I don't have one of those here. I have a more modern one.
Okay. Well, so it was $30, 30. I couldn't believe it. It was brand new, no dings, no dents, no scratches, no blemishes, no grease on it. It was brand new. And so I was all excited, and my family said it won't fit in the car, and I said, hey, it'll fit. No, it won't fit. Yeah, it'll fit. We're taking this home. So I bought it, and, I got it in the car, and I thought, how could I not want to buy this? Because I can weigh myself accurately. It'll never be wrong. There's nothing to wear out. It's brand new. It doesn't have any imprinted diseases on it. I mean, how could I not buy this for $30? So I got it home, and I was thinking, why? It had just been calibrated. Why would they sell it? And it came from a hospital. It came from a hospital's very large clinic in Springfield, Missouri, and it must have come out of their warehouse. I thought, why would they sell this? It's perfectly usable. It's awesome. And then I realized what it is. Two things. Number one, it has the sliding weight. So if you're, being weighed, someone can see them slide that over to the 100, the 200, and then slide the smaller weight. So wow, over 200. So one, it allows other people to see, within some plus or minus range of maybe 30 pounds how much you weigh. So obviously can't have that. The other thing is it only goes up to 300 pounds. So I think it's functionally obsolete. You think that's possible? Do you think that's why?
Absolutely, absolutely. Many people weigh over 300 pounds. And anyone over 300 pounds is a slob. I was thinking, this is perfect. I stepped on it and I slid it over to 100. Then I moved the other weight over to 42. And so I, fully clothed, soaking wet, 142 pounds. So I thought, this is pretty right, because I've got my shoes on and, my belt and all this other stuff. And, yep, that's probably right. So, and now here's the medical question. How important is it for us to keep track of our weight, maybe on a daily or twice every 2 days, or whatever you recommend? How often should we weigh ourselves? Are we wasting time weighing ourselves, or is it something that would be an indicator of whether we're healthy or something's wrong? Well, if you know that your weight is okay, then once a week to me is adequate. Now, if you have a problem with weight under, which is rare, or over, then I certainly would do it at least every 2 days if you're aiming to correct your weight. Remember, the number one cause of premature death in this country today is obesity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so was this a valued $30 expenditure, or do you think I wasted my money?
Oh, I think it's very valuable. As I said, I have one at home. It's the one I use. It used to be in the clinic. I just got one that's where you just get on and get the pounds. But I like it because that's what I use at home. And I check my weight once a week.
I believe it'll never wear out. I believe it will last centuries.
Yeah.
If you keep it out of the rain. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And, Dr. Shealy, whenever I go to a doctor's appointment, one of these hospital-type clinics for a checkup, they always ask me the same thing. Have you had any weight loss? No. Okay. Well, I'm trying to lose weight. They had me on some steroids for a while, a couple of years ago, and I couldn't wait to get rid of that weight. But, and I did. And other than that, I don't have any unexpected weight loss. But how would I know if I didn't have a scale? And I don't think that...
No, we have no way.
Yeah, and I think that this scale is way more accurate. I really think it is. And it's easy. It only takes, 8 more seconds than, the kind that instantly reads your weight, the electronic ones. No batteries, no power supply. It's all mechanical. And so anyway, I'm excited about that. I was reading an article, Dr. Shealy, and it says, this is Daily Mail, And it says, scientists claim transfusions of young blood will put an end to sickness in old age. Scientists have presented data showing mice given young blood did not develop age-related diseases at the end of their lives. Conversely, mice given old blood did develop age-related disease. And then the Peter Thiel-backed startup Ambrosia has been testing this in humans. Patients paid $8,000 to be involved, saw a 10% slash in cholesterol. It also cuts levels of protein seen in high amounts in dementia patients by a fifth. So, and that of course, makes me ask the question, okay, so if a person has an operation and they need blood and they get transfusions, blood from other people, is that blood traced like, let's say this is from a 20-year-old, this pouch is from a 30-year-old, 40, 50, 60, 70. Is blood even divided into categories such as that? Or is it just based on blood type?
I don't know whether they separate or stop taking blood at a certain age. My understanding was primarily depending on how normal the blood is, and hemoglobin and white blood counts and that sort of thing. But it is interesting. Personally, I would not like to have a transfusion once a week or even once a month, because there are slight risks, no matter how well typed it is, there are slight risks in having somebody else's blood put in your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if someone donates blood and they have cancer but they don't know it, can you get cancer from their blood?
Possibly. That is definitely possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was a concern of mine. Now, what about becoming less immune from age-related diseases? Do you think that there could be something to this science where if you receive a transfusion of blood from, other than the risks of cancers and those kinds of things, does it seem possible that you could avoid age-related diseases that are common by receiving blood of someone young? Is that a possibility?
I can't believe that a single transfusion will make a long-term difference. And remember, your blood turns over roughly every 6 weeks. And so I don't see how a single transfusion could make a big difference.
Well, maybe this is, a trial to see, multiple infusions of blood. I'm not sure about that. And the article really isn't all that specific. It just kind of whets your appetite. So reading another article is kind of surprising to me. It's studyfinds.org, studyfinds.org. Study finds 1 in 4 college students diagnosed with mental health condition. 1 in 4. So, and it says that new survey shows 75% of students in the United States colleges have battled significant stress in the past year, leading to 1 in 5 to consider suicide. Unbelievable. Now, I've had stress in my life, and you have, and I'm sure everyone in this class has. And stress is different things cause different levels of stress. For example, having an exam. In college you've got this exam coming up, and some people say that it's really stressful. Well, I don't know. Is it really stressful if you prepare for it? Probably not so much. But other people, melt down because of these kinds of things. But 1 in 5 considering suicide, college students, really 1 in 5 because of stress? Dr. Shealy?
I think personally this is all related to inadequate social interaction from dumb phones. I think it takes us back to one of the reasons is this unbelievably stupid waste of human energy and mind playing with dumb phones.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this on the air, but my son was kind of frosted. I was on stage, just starting to give my presentation at the Board of Directors annual meeting, and I was on stage and on camera, and, the loudspeaker system was delivering my presentation to everybody, the 2,700 people in the room, and my son said there was a guy sitting next to him. He looked up and listened to me for about 30 seconds and went right back to his smartphone, looking down, not paying attention. And, I've talked with one of our instructors who is a college instructor, and she said that people like to look down at their phones during class. They're distracted. So why are they in class? Why are they spending all this money to be exposed to an education and remove themselves from it through distractions of their smartphones? I think you're absolutely right. We'll be right back. Dr. Norm Shealy. Class, if you'd like to contact Dr. Norman Shealy's clinic in Springfield, Missouri, 417-351-5221, 417-351-5221. And class, when I work on projects that involve electricity and wiring, I often say to myself, WWKD. WWKD. What would Kyle do? Welcome, Kyle.
Good morning, Vince. You are a crack up. Hey, Dr. Shealy, I'm sorry to get in here at the end of the program like this, but I have a question for you. I was reading through, again, like actual book, and come across this thing at the Windsor University Medical Hospital in Quebec. WINDSOR University Medical Hospital in Quebec. A biochemist named Siyaram, Siyaram Pandey is his name, a biochemist, and a lady, an MD, called Carolyn Hamm, Hamm. Anyway, they discovered in 2012 that dandelion roots kill all known forms of cancer cells while leaving healthy cells alone. And I was just wondering if you had ever read that, because wouldn't it be ironic if the cure for cancer is growing as weeds in everybody's front yard and they don't even know it?
Well, good heavens, I did not know that. I will certainly be looking it up. I would like to add it to my armamentarium. It's got to be safe.
Yes, I agree. And I made a tincture of this. It's kind of hilarious. I made a tincture of this about a year ago, and I haven't even been using it. It's just, I thought, man, it's so healthy for you, Surely the tincture would be really good. And then I stumbled across this in an article here and wondered why in the world it hasn't hit the big-time paper, Of course,
now wait a minute, Kyle. You know why it hasn't hit the big-time paper.
Yeah, right.
It would compete with the junk.
Yes, I agree. But I thought if anybody would know anything about it or could find out anything, it would be you, because you know this stuff and would be able to read the report and be able to report back to us maybe and let us know what you found on their thing, if it was what dosages or, if it really was that effective or, you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
I would be looking
Kyle, are you talking about dandelion roots only, or dandelion leaves, or dandelion flowers, or all of the above?
It says in the article dandelion root, and
okay.
that's all. Just dandelion root kills all forms of cancer.
The reason I ask is my mom bought a tool, and it's kind of like a fork that has with a long shaft, and she would go out in the lawn, and she would push this in and pull out the dandelions and wash them, of course, very, very well, make a salad with them, make tea with them. And so since the 1960s, she had done this, including this year. So, for all that time.
Interestingly, what I can find quickly is that it's useful against melanoma, leukemia, and pancreatic and colon cancer, but actually it could be bad for people with breast cancer because it increases estrogen.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, you know, Vince, I got one other thing for you. I have one of those helpometers in my bathroom as well.
Do you really?
It's just like another, I actually totally do. Right there, we've had it for. I bought mine same place. It's so hilarious. I bought mine at the Restore as well, and I can't remember what I paid for it because I bet I've had it for probably 15, 18 years. But anyway, I just wanted to touch base with you guys with this. I think it would be pretty incredible. You know,
something that I find absolutely fascinating about USA Prepares instructors is that we, without talking to each other about things, we seem to be doing a lot of the same things. And Kyle, I can't get over how many of the same kinds of things that you and I do separately, hundreds and hundreds of miles apart. We come up with the same or similar designs, solutions, projects. It's really neat. I love it. And Dr. Shealy, your name comes up all the time. All the time. People love your advice and medical solutions. I just cannot thank you enough for being my friend and sharing with our class your expertise. Thank you, Dr. Shealy.